Joe and Brian went to the movie theater last Friday. Unfortunately, the movie was not interesting. The popcorn wasn't fresh. The tickets weren't cheap. Joe and Brian were not happy. Look for the negative forms of the be verb here. Here we have was not, and here wasn't. Here is weren't, and here is were not. These are the ways we form the negative of be in the simple past. Use was or were and not to form the negative of be in the past. The movie was not interesting. They were not happy. There are two ways. The first way is add not after the be verb. You know this already. I was not, you were not, he was not, she was not, it was not, we were not, you were not, they were not. It's all the same, just add the word not. The second way is make a contraction with be and not. So this time to make the contraction, I was not, we drop the O in not. We push these letters together, and of course, there is an apostrophe. I wasn't. You were not. Same thing, we drop the O in not. We push these letters together so we have one word, and then the apostrophe. You weren't. And since there are only two forms, was and were in the past, the rest follow the same pattern. He wasn't, she wasn't, it wasn't, and all the plurals are the same. We weren't, you weren't, they weren't. Okay, you try. Look at the sentences. Fill in the blanks with the negative past of be. What do you need? Was not or were not? Ready? Ryan had a good day. He was not late to school. His classes were not boring. His homework was not hard, so he was not awake very late at night. Okay, now can you change all of these to contractions? Let's look. Ryan had a good day. He wasn't late to school. His classes weren't boring. His homework wasn't hard, so he wasn't awake very late at night. Okay? One more time. This time just use contractions. Take a moment, look at the sentences, and decide between wasn't and weren't. Okay, are you ready? Andres had a terrible day. He had a big project to finish. His boss wasn't happy. His colleagues weren't helpful. The office wasn't quiet, so he went outside to work, but his computer wasn't charged. Poor Andres. Use was or were plus not to form the negative of be in the past. His classes were not boring. His computer was not charged. Were not and was not change to weren't and wasn't when we make the contractions. Sam wanted to visit a friend at his new apartment in the city, but he had some problems. He did not remember the street, he did not know the address, and he didn't have the right phone number. Do you see the negative forms? You probably see not. He did not remember. We use did not to form the negative in the past with all verbs except be. Be always has some different rules. Here we also see did not know and didn't have. Let's look at how to form these. To form the negative, use did not and the verb. Here you have the chart for have in the simple past. I had, you had, he had. There's just one form. It's the same for the negative. Look at I had. This is how you make the negative. Move the verb over, put in did not, but look here. We don't want this to be in the past. We want the simple form. So we change it back to have. I did not have. You did not have. He did not have. She did not have. It did not have. We did not have. You did not have. And they did not have. As you can see, there is only one form. But we can make a contraction. Let's look. Form a contraction with did and not. Look at the sentence, he did not remember. To make the contraction, drop the O in not, move the N and the T over to form one word, and of course, remember, we need an apostrophe. He didn't remember. He did not know the address. He didn't have the phone number. So we have two ways to say the past negative, and that is with did not and didn't. Let's look at some examples. Use did not or didn't to form the past, and it's the same for all subjects. So look at these sentences. I did not read that book. You did not call me. She did not travel last year. We did not eat all of the pizza. They did not bring an umbrella. Okay, I can change all of these to didn't because it doesn't matter what the subject is. It's always did not or didn't. And notice the verbs are all in the simple form. They are not in the past. The verb doesn't change. The verb stays in the simple form. It's the same in present and past. Remember, in present, she doesn't swims is incorrect. We've got an extra S on swims. So we have the S in doesn't. We don't need the S on swims anymore. She doesn't swim. It's the same in the past. You called me. That ED shows us it's the past. And when we change it to the negative, you did not call me. Now the did shows me it's in the past. So I don't say you did not called me. I've got an extra ED here, just like the extra S up above. So the main verb, swim and call, they stay in the simple form. Let's do some practice. Make it negative. He liked the lemon. No. He did not like the lemon. Okay, now change did not like to a contraction. He didn't like the lemon. It was too sour. They stayed at home. Make it negative. They did not stay at home. Okay, now make the contraction. They didn't stay at home. They went for a walk. Make it negative. Rich's dog walked with him. Rich's dog did not walk with him. And the contraction? Rich's dog didn't walk with him. His dog didn't want to walk. Form the past negative with did and not. He did not know the address. He didn't have the phone number. You have two choices. You can use did not and the verb, or you can make a contraction and use didn't and the verb. You already know subject pronouns: I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they. You hear them all of the time. Remember, a subject does the action in a sentence. Here's the chart for object pronouns. You've probably seen these too: me, you, him, her, it, us, you, and them. An object doesn't do the action in a sentence. An object receives the action or the result of the action. Let's look. The kids are throwing water on Jim. Let's look at this sentence. First, what's the subject? The kids, right? The kids are the subject because they are throwing. Now, what's the object? The object is the thing that the kids are throwing. So that's the water. The water here is the direct object because the kids are throwing it. Now we still have Jim over here. The kids aren't throwing Jim, but he still gets wet from the water. So Jim is an indirect object. If I shorten this sentence and replace all of these nouns with pronouns, I get they are throwing it on him. And in this sentence, the kids are they, the water is it, and Jim is him. It may seem complicated, but we use the same object pronouns whether it's a direct object or an indirect object. Let's look at another example. She gives the blue envelope to him. In this sentence, she is the subject, and the word she is the subject pronoun. Over at the other end, him is the object pronoun because he receives the envelope. He's not doing the action, so we can't use he. Let's switch it. Gives the blue envelope to her. Now, he is the subject pronoun. I don't use him. And her is the object pronoun. I can't use she because she isn't doing the action. She's receiving the envelope. If we look at both sentences side by side, you can see these are the subject pronouns and these are the object pronouns. Here are both charts side by side. These are the subject pronouns and these are the object pronouns. You can see you is the same for both charts, and it is also the same, but the other pronouns change. Let's look at some more examples. Lily is looking at you. Lily is the subject because she is looking, and you are the object because you are receiving her looking. If we replace these with pronouns, Lily is a she, and you stays the same. So she is looking at you. Mandy checked the price. Here, Mandy is the subject, and price is the object. If we replace these with pronouns, she checked it. She is Mandy, and it is the price. Here's another. Smile, I am taking a picture of us. In this one, I is the subject because I am taking, and us is the object because the picture is being taken of us. We aren't taking the picture. Are you listening to me? Okay, how about here? Still, you is the subject and me is the object. So you is the subject pronoun and me is the object pronoun, even when it's a question. Her brothers are looking for her. Okay, now this might look confusing, but if you remember, this her is a possessive adjective, and this her is an object pronoun. Oh, sometimes it can be confusing. Let's do some practice. Rob gives a drink to Scott. Okay, can you replace Rob with a subject pronoun? He. He gives a drink to Scott. And now, can you replace Scott with an object pronoun? He gives a drink to him. Professor K is explaining the task to the students. Okay, replace Professor K with a subject pronoun. He is explaining the task to the students. And now, let's replace students with an object pronoun. He is explaining the task to them. He's explaining the task to them. One more. The children listen to their grandmother. Can you replace the children with a subject pronoun? They listen to their grandmother. And now, let's replace the grandmother with an object pronoun. They listen to her. They listen to her. In this lesson, you learned the difference between subject pronouns and object pronouns. These are the subject pronouns. The subjects do the action, and here are the subject pronouns in sentences. These are the object pronouns. The object pronouns receive the action or the result of the action, and here they are in the sentences.